So welcome to another episode of Jay's Finest. As you can see in the title of this video, it's not going to be the world's most exciting video in the world. Sorry if I seem a little bit stressed because this video is very difficult for me, but I'm trying to make it to explain where I've been, why I haven't vlogged or anything. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but because of the title of the video, let me explain a little more details. Alright, so let me get started and explain to you what happened. So in 2020, which is the best year, right? I mean, we all have gone through a very rough situation due to obviously the pandemic, the coronavirus. That was a year when my dad started developing some uncertain pains. And on top of it off, with everything that happened with COVID, now I'm deal with what's going on with my dad. Now unfortunately he was feeling some pains in his lower, like abdomen around there. He was feeling a lot of sharp pains that at the point he couldn't eat or anything. So it was really bad to the point that he could barely walk. It was just a very hard year in general for him because of that pain. Due to the COVID, it was very difficult for him to go to the hospital unless he's really dying or he's like having a heart attack. Then the hospital will take him in. But due to the fact of COVID, they have new regulations and this whole 9 yards, they didn't take my dad in unless he was physically dying. They're pretty much were saying that he had gallbladder stones, which he did have gallbladder stones. So obviously that was extraordinarily very painful, but he did have that. So he didn't want to continue trying to go to the hospital when he had these sharp, terrible pains, because all they're gonna do is give him pain medication and just bring him back home. So it will be pointless. And then when he was gonna actually get looked at, in the hospital in the whole 9 yards, his appointments to do all these type of scans would have taken months, and I'm telling you, months. So imagine him being more months in these type of pains. So long story short, eventually they couldn't take him this case, which I do live in Florida, so they couldn't take his case in Florida. So he went to California, which they had an open case, and they took my dad's case. This all happened in 2020. They took his case, and they said, well, we're gonna go ahead and do the surgery to remove the gallbladder. That was the whole goal, to remove the gallbladder. So as they were doing the gallbladder, they noticed something was wrong with his intestines, and it was all years of chemo radiations and that. Plus they also found out that he was also developing more tumors all over his body. And this is where, if you guys didn't know, short history, my dad was battling non-Hodgkin lymphoma for 32 years, and they found out that in 2020 that ended up becoming a stage 4 Hodgkin lymphoma. Meaning that first he only had cancer on his skin, and then later on it ended up being he started developing cancer and tumors, the whole 9 yards, internally, meaning his organs and stuff like that, which that's where things get a little bit more hairy. So because of that, they had to rush to the hospital where they had to do a bunch of other surgery, had a lot of internal bleeding, this whole 9 yards. He actually almost died last year due to complications with all of that bleeding and being stage 4 lymphoma, which was horrific. It was just nasty looking. It was tumors everywhere, and they're gonna do some surgery to see what's causing internal bleeding. And then he could have died on the table. They asked us some stuff like if he flatlines, do we revive him? And dad said no. Imagine that conversation, how hard that was for our family. So at the end, they didn't do the surgery, which thank God they didn't do surgery, and ended up doing something else to remove a lot of internal bleeding. Then they found out what it was, and they did a bunch of other things, and eventually he was healing from the internal bleeding. And then they started doing this other type of chemotherapy. What they call chemotherapy wasn't really chemo, but it was related to chemo. And they started doing that treatment on him because they said luckily the cancer that has developed for stage 4 for him, there was a special chemotherapy for that type of cancer, and luckily it wasn't the very bad type. Obviously there's ones that is a little bit more, like when you get the flu, they say you have flu A and B, B being bad, A being good. Obviously none of them are good, but obviously one's worse than the other. Luckily he had A, and he started the that chemotherapy, and everything was all good. My dad was recovering. He started exercising. He started doing a million things. Obviously, it wasn't here in Florida. It was somewhere else, California, where they took his case, and everything is all, you can say, kumbaya, right? Everything was good. I've been hanging. Our family and I would hang out with him over there, obviously in holidays and different times and birthdays and whatnot. So we just had fun with him, hanging out. So the next step they recommended, which I felt they were kind of pushy with it because they didn't let his body recover, but whatever, that's just my opinion. He said his cancer will develop again because he was literally almost cancer free because he was doing that chemotherapy every 2 weeks or whatever the case. I don't remember what it was, and he was pretty much almost cancer free once again. But if you guys didn't know, in between those 32 years, he's been on and off with cancer. He has won multiple battles with that cancer. From doing radiations, chemotherapy, full body radiations, you name it, he has done it. He has done everything. Everything known in the book for lymphoma, he has done it just to help him out, obviously, live. And between all of that, he's gone through like crazy pains, crazy moments where he thought he was not gonna make it. A lot of times it's very difficult for him, but he's a strong man, which I look up to him for that. So fast forward to 2021, he signed the paperwork to do the bone marrow transplant. That was the next step. So to do a bone marrow transplant, what they had to do is, it's crazy to think about it, but they have to do another type of chemotherapy plus radiation to go ahead and bring his immune system down to 0. Now I'm going to give you a number so you guys understand how much your immune system should have. I looked it up one time and I'm not sure if this is right or wrong, but you're supposed to have 5 to 4,000, 3,000 cells or whatever of white blood cells, this whole 9 yards, whatever you're supposed to have in your body. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just throwing a number out there. They want to bring it down to pretty much where he had it this year. It was 0.04. He had his immune system level was which was at the bottom, which was 0. So he can get a simple cold and it can kill him. But he was over there in that time in California doing all those treatments, doing all of that. And I end up being the donor for my dad because my sister and my brother couldn't. One sister's a girl, so they recommend not to use a girl because her cells are gonna be a little bit different and they might not accept it. My dad, my brother also has some other health issues that it's not also good to use his cells also to be we'll use him as to be the donor pretty much. So the only person that was next is me. Well, technically speaking, you're supposed to use a sibling, meaning that my dad, his brother or sister could have been a more liable donor, but unfortunately my dad's the only child, so the next step will be us. So I was gonna be the donor. So I did my part. I donated my bone marrow through stem cells. So obviously different ways you can be a bone marrow transplant donor, and one of the thing is through stem cells. Obviously there's other ones that they actually take a piece of your bone marrow or a piece of bone in your hip, the whole 9 yards. But obviously this is the more not as invasive. So I did my part. It was almost 4 hour, 5 hour process. It's supposed to be 6 hours depending how much if they have enough. Long story short, I did my part, and then turns out the next step was for my dad to do his part, which, like I told you guys, he would have to do another chemotherapy, another radiation to top of everything else he's been doing, and he started his process. And if I'm gonna be honest, everything was going magical and fast, and everything was just going good. It's kind of scary when things are going too good. It's one of the things you say is too good to be true, because it is too good to be true. You're supposed to take around I think 2 weeks, and then another 100 days recovery, or I think more like 4 weeks or something like that, being inside the hospital. So imagine. So even though my dad's not very he can't stand still for 2 seconds. You see me very antsy here because talking about this very hurts a lot. But then one day he was almost done. Literally he had one more week left out of the 4 weeks. He had one more week left, and he was excited. He goes, man, I just got one more week and we're good. And then I get a phone call at work with my sister saying that my dad called her saying that he's headed to ICU. And she was like, why is he heading to ICU? Everything was just fine. Before that, my sister and mom that were visiting at the time were saying, hey, it looks like he's having trouble breathing. It was very odd, but doctor over there says some things are just part of the process, this and that, blah blah blah. We'll see what's going on. So what ended up happening was he started developing internal bleeding in his lungs. Because of that, his heart stopped. So they were doing CPR on him for 20 minutes. He had cardiac arrest for literally 20 minutes, and then they started getting a heartbeat back. Unfortunately, when you just had cardiac arrest for 20 minutes, you don't have oxygen in your brain for that long. It does have some side effects on you. And my dad wasn't still responsive. I guess he wasn't responsive, but he was. But they did have a heartbeat. It's 100 yards. And then eventually I had to do emergency surgery to remove that lung because it just had way too much bleeding in it, which was horrible to think about. So they did surgery there. The other lung looks like it still had a chance, but they weren't sure. So pretty much he was in the ICU, missing a lung, and non-responsive. My mom and sister were visiting him at the time, and it looks like he was a little bit responsive towards them, but nothing like any conversation, nothing. And part.of, he was relying on machines. He was full of machines, full of things just to keep him alive. Long story short, we had to fly over to Cali, an emergency, because we had to make a very tough decision. And obviously we had to make the decision to, pull the plug. There was no neurological sign they could have seen. He wasn't responding to commands. Very difficult, very hard. See him just there, relying on his machines and not responsive. I think nobody should ever go through something like this. It's very difficult, heart-wrenching, especially someone that you love, And he passed away this year in July. So that's a little story. So right now, I'm going to show you a quick little video of everything my dad has worked on the Mustang, his little life on my channel. Obviously, I'm not going to show you a lot of like when he was young and this and that. That's just very personal stuff to me. But just overall, I just want to do this video for you, Dad, because you deserve it. You've been part of this channel as much I've been part of this channel. But I did want to make this quick video. Please stay and watch until the very end, because I do want to give some encouraging words just to close out this video. And I hope you enjoyed this couple of clips of my dad. That's what I was thinking, something like that.
You got it?
Yeah, I think you had a twist.
Yeah, now you got a twist. Yeah, you gotta put this farther back and then spit out farther.
No, trust me, it's fine there, because it just started dripping here.
Yeah, but eventually it'll drip, but now it's gonna come out rushing.
Holy Jesus. Wow, I think hit the wall.
That's a lot of oil.
I've never seen so much oil in my life, bro. No pun intended. I mean,
Alright. It fell in there?
oh God, Jesus. Yeah, you can turn it off. So what are your thoughts, Sir Saul? So what do you think about the meat so far, Saul?
Yeah, I do like that. Looks good, man. Looks good.
Are you getting inspiration as you cover the camera?
No. Well, I wanted to take that route for some reason, and he got off at 152. I don't know if it's charcoal or it's green, but it's getting yellow fog light. Yellow fog light, and he's always...
The guy said silver, right?
I would say it's either silver or a metallic color. He's getting yellow fog lights, and it's...
How's it going? Let me see.
You can say it's the first run.
Okay, so this is the first one, which
Bro, that'll go all up to here, man. I guess they leave it light like that to see how light you want to put it. I think that'll go all the way from here, light, here, and then you cut here. That's what I'm thinking.
because I mean, it's from. I mean, it depends. I mean, I think the best thing we can do.
Because it'll be long. I mean, right now the way it is, if you put it here, it's gonna go beyond the hood. If you go start from that little thing over there, the click here from here, it'll go beyond the hood.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about if you start from here and all the way goes beyond.
No, I don't think it'll go beyond there. I mean,
Well,
here-
let's start from like
Look.
from there.
Here, if you start from here, right? This is
Hold it, go.
6 inches. 6. And then let's say roughly 6. And here you have, oops, 58. 6 is 64. I mean, it might be enough where, let me see, start here. See here, 16. 16. here is 43. 16 and 43. 16 and 43, 59. It's exactly. It almost made it from that point. It'll get all the way to here.
Alright, so thank you for watching these couple of clips. I hope you guys, appreciate everything he has done in my life, and he's made me a better man, a better knowing what to do to be a father, because he gave a beautiful example what it means to be a dad, a father, and leading his family. And I do want to encourage you guys is that reason my dad survived so long for 32 years, obviously besides God hand being on top of him and always being on his life and making sure that he keeps moving forward and just being cancer free every so often, he never stopped fighting. He never stopped to think that cancer had him down on the ground. He was always fighting, he was always moving forward. And I want to give you this encouragement and let you guys know whatever it is that you guys are going through, never let that thing bring you down, whatever the case might be. Always keep fighting and moving forward. Don't let that bring you down to your knees, and let whatever it is just let you seem that you're nothing, that you're just done. Keep on fighting, because my dad kept on fighting to a point that my neighbors, some friends and family would think that, wait a minute, your dad has cancer, how can that be? Because my dad was always fighting. He was always staying positive. He was always exercising, always being proactive. Never one time did he tell us that, hey, look, I'm sick, I need you guys to support me. He will go to work with chemo, radiation, with cancer, with pains beyond understanding, yet he would still go to work and he will still fight. My encouragement is, if you stay this long, obviously thank you, but just always keep fighting. Never stop the good fight. Always keep fighting to move forward, because if my dad can do it, being for 32 years with cancer, doing chemo, radiation, taking a bunch of other crazy medications and whatnot, if he can do it, you guys can do it. And I'm talking to myself as well in all of this. Sometimes I feel I can't do it, but I know, seeing my dad, if he can do it, going through the stuff he went through, for sure I can. So just stay tuned for more content coming up. It's not gonna be as much stuff coming up, but I know that I'm gonna do my best to keep continue vlogging, doing different videos. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you, and I just want to say, you know, if you're listening to that, I know up in heaven, love you, man, and hope to see you soon.